another episode of Bonafide Her Podcast featuring the one and only Matthew Liles.
What's going on? What's going on?
How you doing today, sir?
I'm good. How about you?
You know, we blessed to be alive. You know, I had to get first of all, shout out to you. Your photography work is amazing. So I was like, you know what? I got to get one of the best photographers in this whole state of North Carolina be on here for real. Like, I love the videography and the photography you do in the Winston area and everything. I'm like, I got to get him on here. So shout out to you, sir. So let's get it started. So Matthew, can you tell us your sports story to how you got to where you are in your sports journey?
My sports story. So I grew up in Lexington. I've always lived in Lexington my whole life though. But I grew up in a little town called Lexington, North Carolina. I don't know if you've ever been there before or know where that's at. But yeah, I played basketball. Played 2 years of varsity in high school. I spent my first 2 years on JV, and I feel like those first 2 years on JV kind of helped me like get hungry about basketball a little bit, I guess you could say. Because from like 6th grade to I probably say like the end of my sophomore year, that I don't really feel like I was as good at basketball as I thought I was. You know what I'm saying? As a kid, you think you good, but you're really not good for real. So around my middle school years, going into my 8th grade year, I started going to CP3 Basketball Academy. That's where me and you ended up, meeting up at. But it was at CP3 where I kind of like gained that like love to like start working out and start really like putting in time outside of just like practice and stuff like that. Even though I was doing like a little workouts and stuff on the side with my cousin Cliff, who was my trainer, from 7th grade all the way to college. I was doing some stuff with him, but I feel like at CP3 it really made me like see like other kids out here just like better than you. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of just instilled that work ethic in me, just being around all those good trainers and all those kids that was better than me. And I went there and trained there from 7th grade to college. And when I was in college, I was still going back training and working out with guys that was there. And it's crazy because I work there now as a trainer, so it was kind of like a full circle moment, just working there and just being there. And that was just like another outlet and connection for me to just start doing what I'm doing now with photography stuff. Because now working there, I've been able to do work for Chris Paul and his AAU program, and just meet people who I probably never thought I'd be in the same rooms with.
First of all, shout out, like, that's super fire. Like, it's interesting how you're like training in CP3, and then even after, say, your playing time, you're actually now doing photography work for Chris Paul. It's like,
yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know if you can see that ball back there in that glass.
Yeah.
But when I was in 7th grade, I went to one of his camps. Well, it was at CP3, but I went to one of his camps and he actually signed the ball. I got a picture of him and everything.
That was like one of those like surreal, like full circle moment. Like, holy snap! It's like
I gotta. Kind of crazy.
First of all, like I said, like your photography and videography work is amazing. I was like, and then because I saw the one you did one with like, I believe you did one of Jeff Teague, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, and I'm like, dang, Jeff Teague of all people, like that's like one of those, like, if like Wake Forest, like,
it's crazy how that worked out because I really just reached out to their producer, their show, their podcast, and he ended up reaching back out on Instagram and basically sent the invite that I could go there and basically work for him for that weekend. So that was a dope experience.
This leads to my question, during your playing time, especially you played in college at Greensboro College, which is a Division III, and a lot of people like to overlook, say, the Division III competition. So, but from your experience, what would you say is the misconception of the Division III competition?
It's a lot of misconceptions about D3. I know from when I was there, I know a lot of people just feel like D3 isn't like the same as Division II, Division I. Like, and yeah, it's not. I mean, obviously Division I, Division II, you probably got, taller, probably guys that's gonna go pro, But I feel like D3 is those guys that, had the potential that can, go to D1 and end up making it pro one day, or, probably just had something, coming out of high school that probably made them end up falling shorter than going D1, D2. But Division 3 got a lot of hoopers. I played with some guys in Greensboro who I'm looking at them like, you don't even need to be here. Like, you should be D1 right now. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like, yeah, a lot of people just look at D3 as like, they kind of look at it like JUCO in a way, or look at it like the lower class when it comes to college hoops. But you'll be surprised how many like hoopers you can see come out of D3, how many hoopers that are in D3.
For sure, because like I was like, I mean, coming from mid major myself, like, I mean, you see like some of the players like that's mid major D2, D3, and I'm like, they are really hungry. Like they
Yeah,
don't like they playing like they have everything to lose, and it's like you have those like growing up, yes, do you wanted to play the DV, the D1, like yeah, that was everybody's dream, but like you know I rather say like, you know, I rather say have a player showcase their talent where, I'd rather go to say a college, whether it's D2, D3, D mid major, D1 or something, be able to showcase my talent and change the culture versus I go to a D1 just because of the name and I don't get to showcase my talent. I'm on the bench. And then by senior year, it's like I'm only playing 2 minutes a game. Like,
facts. That was kind of my mindset going into it too. Like, obviously, like I think Greensboro and a couple of JUCOs was the only offers I had coming out of high school. And I mean, I wouldn't say I was like kind of disappointed, but I looked at myself as probably going higher than D3. But once you actually get to D3 and you like taking the feeling of what it really is, like you said, like it makes you hungry, and it kind of just brought back those memories of whenever I was a kid on JV those first 2 years, or when I was in middle school, not really playing as much my seventh grade year. But like it all paid off because like in high school, like I said, I played 2 years of JV, but that junior and that senior year was like it skyrocketed for me. Like I feel like those were the 2 years that really helped me get my name out there like the most. So it kind of brought back those same memories of being a D3.
for sure, because I think one of the biggest things that I really and I hope and wish athletes would like really take in is go where you're going to be valued and not tolerated. Go where you're going to be able to showcase your talent and not tolerated, not just be say another number on a roster and like people like who
Yeah,
like go where you're gonna be able to say if you want to say go pro and stuff, go where you're gonna be valued and like get your like showcase your talent, get your type in, and then like you know, because that's I think like I said, the whole D1 moniker. I think you know it like we talking about. That's the biggest thing. Like we want to go, but sometimes it's like you never know what type of circumstances some people have to go through. It's like maybe this is maybe the best fit. And hey, if I change the culture some way or another, if I make a name and make history books, I'm gonna go for it. So,
yeah, definitely.
and this leads to my question is, you know, transitioning from being a player to now being one of the biggest photographers and videographers in North Carolina, especially in the hoop scene. What was that transition like for you?
Uh, it wasn't too much of a like a switch, just because I was already doing it in high school before I stopped playing in college. I was already doing it in high school. I started a company called Two Code Visuals because my nickname growing up was always Matty Ice. So I just made my company Two Code Visuals. And I started doing that my junior year of high school. And I was just kind of like playing around with it junior year. But it was kind of surprising like how many people was like, nah, like, bro, you actually good at that. And it's kind of just weird though, because like as a kid, I always grew up like trying to like edit stuff. Like me and my cousins would like make like YouTube videos, things like that. And I'll be the one to like piece it together and post it, even though nobody's gonna watch it for real. But like I was always into like editing and just taking pictures and stuff like that. Even before I started the company. So when I started that in 2020, around like COVID and stuff like that, that kind of just was like my idea of like if the basketball stuff don't work out, like I know I got something that I can do that I'm like kind of good at. So when I actually did kind of make the switch, um, well, before I even made the switch, my senior year is when I like really was like locked in on basketball. Like I wasn't really thinking about the camera stuff too much. So I kind of like, I ain't gonna say I kind of like fell off as far as like people were like getting to know like that I actually do the camera stuff, but I just wasn't doing it as much. So when I got to college, it was kind of the same thing. But once I started playing, it was just like, I like it's really time to go all in on it, you know. And before I even, you know, got to my senior year of high school, like my junior year, I remember Chris and a couple other pros was having like an open run at CB3, and you know Mike Russell, right? Coaches at Reynolds. Yeah,
Yeah.
he actually was like nah, bro, if you want to come take pictures at it, you can. And this was like in the middle of COVID, and I'm just now starting out with the camera stuff. So I feel like taking those pictures of Chris. I don't know if you've ever seen those pictures. They're like it's like first post on my Instagram. But doing those pictures for Chris, like that's when I knew like, all right, yeah, like when I get older, I gotta stay with it because you never know where it can lead you. Like just being in rooms like that. Um, so but it came back to like when I stopped playing in college, like I was like, nah, okay, I'm done. I'm done hooping. Like I already know what I want to do. Like after I get done, and I swear, like I stopped playing in December of 2024, I think, or January 2024. And it's like after that, like as soon as 2025 hit, and like that's when I started getting an opportunity with Jeff T, Greensboro Swarm, Caleb Foster from Duke. Trying to think of what else. I done so much stuff like since that time. I feel like that was really like a calling from God, like to like, nah, this is what you really supposed to be doing in life. Um, and I just been blessed ever since, like ever since I stopped playing, because like everything has just taken a turn for me. So it wasn't really that much of a switch, but it is like weird whenever like I'm taking pictures and it's like I'm taking pictures and I'm like, dang, I should be out there on the court right now. But you know, it's you got to just find what your calling is in life.
For sure. That is interesting. It's like, dang, it feels like you mentioned like you're taking pictures and sometimes something feels weird, like I should be playing, but then it's like you mentioned about your calling, which like,
Mhm.
but and this leads to my question is, you know, what does it mean to you to be part of the 336 hoop culture?
It's definitely like something you gotta definitely take pride in. I think because like you know everybody always talking like this area code versus this area code. I feel like 336 really got the best hoopers. Now don't get me wrong, it is some good hoopers that come from like the Charlotte, the Raleigh areas. You know what I'm saying? Other places, Fayetteville, even like Goldsboro area, stuff like that. But I feel like the 336 area, like we really got those ones. You know what I'm saying? Like those people that you can really like search up and be like, nah, we had some killers like come throughout 336 back in the day. Even now, like it's a lot of kids in Greensboro, the Winston area that had came out that's graduated recently and that's like in school right now that I'd be looking at like y'all boys better than me when I was in school. I ain't gonna lie. You feel me?
So this leads to my mini little fun question for you is because I was asking a couple of people about this, and this was like actually this was funny because this was one of my questions for say the top performers one time in a post game interview for the league NC, and I asked them about say their Mount Rushmore North Carolina Hoopers.
Mm-hmm.
So who would you say are in your North Carolina Mount Rushmore Hoopers, like from the 336? Who would you put in your Mount
Yeah,
Rushmore
I'm gonna go off.
336?
I'm gonna go off just players I was able to like. I can't even say that. I was gonna say I'll go off players I was able to watch, but I feel like you gotta throw them other people in there too that kind of set the foundation too. So I go Chris for one, just because like he probably the one of the biggest names coming out of North Carolina. So Chris Paul. I go Brandon Ingram. I used to watch Brandon Ingram on YouTube as a kid. Um, then when you go those last two spots, I don't really know for real because that kind of tricky. You know what I'm saying? I'd probably go John Wall. Uh, I'm trying to think of a fourth. Trying to think of a fourth. Mm, I don't know. I feel like everybody's name was. Oh, we got to go Harry Giles. I'm tripping. That's big, bro. I gotta throw Harry in there.
So you have Chris Paul, John Wall,
Yeah,
Brandon Ingram, and Harry Giles. So
Harry
that's
Giles.
your four of Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but from what you have seen personally, who was
From what
and
I've
who would
seen
you?
personally, I'm gonna go DeFi Davian from Prep. You know,
D
I ain't gonna lie.
Will.
I ain't gonna
Yes.
lie, watching him as a kid kind of like made me want to like take his game and try to like make it into mine, like and take that and put it into mine. So I go D5 for sure.
Shout out to
Uh,
Davian.
for sure. I don't know if you know who Derek Dearman is. You know Derek Dearman. He went to Lexington. He went to my high school, but bro. Derek's smaller than me, and that's my guys to this day. Like when I see him, it's all love. That's really big, bro, for real. But he's smaller than me, and he probably the only guard I've ever seen like go out and get 40 like that. Like so, when we get done with this, go look up Derek Dearman. He was tough. So I go Davian, Derek. Uh, that I was able to watch. I guess you could say Zach Austin. Zach was tough growing up. Uh, one more. I gotta throw Harry back in there just because I was around for Harry. You know, Harry and my brother actually grew up together, so like that's why I kind of keep saying Harry. But Harry was the dog in high school. I feel like some people be forgetting how good he really was.
Man, Harry's in a lot. First of all, shout out to Harry. He is in a lot of. I have asked so many people, and he is in a lot of people's like Mount Rushmore. Like, I mean, and somebody even described him as a unicorn. It's like I've never seen like from the mixtapes I've seen. I'm like I've never seen like say a 6'11", 7-footer that actually say carry like can carry the ball up the court
Yeah.
like a power guard
Mhm.
like I'm just like this is and like so many and not to mention so many people have looked up to him like you hear when so many people look up to someone like him and have like say that inspires people to work hard, be the best player. Same thing
Yeah.
with Davian, like just those like it's just so amazing to see that. But
I feel like some other
first of
ones
all,
I didn't mention either too. Like you gotta throw guys in there like Rob Dillingham. Uh, he kind of setting the foundation as far as like the young kids like wanting to get shifty and stuff like that. I feel like Rob Dillingham was one of those ones for that. Even like Dennis Smith Jr. When I was a kid, I used to watch Dennis Smith Jr. a lot, and it's crazy. I actually did some work for him. He was actually at that run that I was telling you about that I shot for Chris back in COVID. He was there. There's probably some more people I'm not naming that's cold too. Probably from like the Greensboro, High Point areas.
yeah, June was different. Dennis Smith, June was
Mhm.
like
He was
different.
cold.
It was him and like if you know about like the June and Quay Parker during the Trinity days when they were together, it was
Mhm.
a whole different ball game.
Yeah,
But like, I ain't gonna lie, I will. The first time I saw Rob Dillingham, I didn't know who he was. I know this sounds crazy, but I had saw Rob Dillingham at a pro am one time, and I saw like he was being surrounded by security, and I'm like, who's this guy that's being surrounded by security?
right.
And they're like, oh, that's Rob Dillingham. Mind you, I heard of the name, but didn't know who he looked like at the time. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like I was like, this is because mine was like somebody got to show me who people are. Like I
Mhm.
hear the names, like because at the time during college men's basketball, I've heard the name and stuff, but I was like, it didn't click on who was who at the time. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, but yeah, I was like, well, this is
Rob
my
was
first
tough.
time seeing Rob. He was shifty at that pro am game that I watched. I was like, oh, interesting. It's like
Right.
so, but this leads to my question is, you got to see, you did the video where you actually created a whole mixtape video, and it was between the two guys that you grew up watching, which was Davian and Zach. What was that experience like where you actually did a whole like mixtape video where both of them were teammates and then doing the whole full circle moment where they face against each other at the prom? What was that whole moment, like, you know, creating that mixtape, especially with the players that you grew up watching?
Yeah, I mean, it was dope because I started. Well, I didn't really know neither one of those guys until the year they won. I think it was Davian's senior year, Zach's junior year. It was the year they won the state championship. But my uncle uh was actually the Coach Andre Gould. He was actually coach. So I already had like family ties to the team, but I never had came out to a game for real. So when I first started like watching them that season, I'm like, nah, like they took like this whole squad took. Even they had guys like I don't know if you remember Chaz Gwynn, the shooter. Uh, they had Chaz out there. Like their whole team was kind of like tough for real. So like as a kid in 8th grade, seeing that, trying to like model that and take that into my game, and now that I'm older and I see like you know they playing in the league against each other. I never had came to the league either. Like that was my first time coming to watch the league. So it was just I just feel like it would be cool because Davian hit me up, told me to pop out, you know, get some footage and stuff like that. So I was just like, he playing against Zach, so it's only right I like, you know, make a little video and, you know, a video of them like not colliding, but you know, going head to head in a matchup against each other. So I feel like that was dope. Not only for like people that was in the gym, but like for people to like go back and just watch it on YouTube, like just to see like these guys was teammates and you know now they going head to head in the league after they both just came off of like their own little, you know, Davian in overseas, Zach playing G League. Hopefully my boy, you know, stay on the NBA roster. Um, so it's just dope to see like the journey they took and see them in the same gym playing against each other.
For sure. Like I said, you did a. I was like, man, let me go ahead. You did such an amazing job with it. I was like, this is worth so much content and wise. Like, I'm like, this
Yeah, I mean,
is
especially for like the Winston area, I feel like that's something that like I feel like we need more of that. You know what I'm saying?
because like with like I said, like when especially it was so crazy. Like you probably have so much content from that. It was like the final. We met at the final four games. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, you probably got. I was like, you got so much. I know you had so much content with that final four. If like, especially if you had like created like drop like say clips and then like photos from it, like
Yeah.
how fire that is.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm definitely gonna try to pull up. I know they got some stuff coming up in the fall, but next summer I'm definitely gonna try to get out to more of those.
hey, I see, yeah. So, and this leads to my question, you know, when it comes to representation, especially having someone that looks up to you and you look up to someone, how important is representation?
I feel like representation is, you know, is definitely something major. I try to, you know, just represent my family and the way I was brought up, and you know, I just try to always represent who I am. You know, no matter if you just see me just walking around, like you probably can just tell. A lot of people tell me they can tell like who I am before I even, you know, say a word. So I just try to always just go about myself in the right way, and not try to like come off like as a what's the word I'm looking for. I guess like a mean energy type person. Like I just always try to come off, you know, somebody who's like caring, loving, you know what I'm saying? Easy to walk up to and greet. You know, I don't ever want to give anybody no bad vibes about me. You know what I'm saying?
That's real for sure. And this leads to my question is, you know, I always say that athletes are humans first. So for you as a black man and athlete, you know, how important is mental health to you?
I think mental health is major as well because I think I learned that the most playing college basketball. You know, in college, like you on your own. Like your parents are not really there. They can't really come to the coach and you know ask the coach why you're not playing or you know they're not there on campus with you. You know they might see you on the weekend, might see you during the week. You know like once or twice, but other than that, you on your own. So I feel like just being away from family, not really seeing my friends as much. You know, just being alone and you know being locked into the grind. I feel like that kind of helped me, you know, with mental health a lot. You know, just being by myself a lot, just talking to God, talking to myself, reaching back out to others. You know, when I needed that advice or that you know their opinions and stuff like that. But I think mental health is real important. Even to this day, like I got two real good friends who we always check in with each other. We always hit each other up just to see how each other doing. Whether it's you know checking on each other like spiritually, or if we just talking about finances or relationships advice, like whatever the case may be, like we always make sure we just check in with each other like during the week just to, what I'm saying, make sure each other good and stuff like that. So I feel like it's always good to have that outlet or just have, somebody or something that you can go to, in a positive way. For me, like I said, my friends, church, my family, my loved ones. So I feel like everybody needs somebody or something they can just go to, because at the end of the day, we all in this earth alone by ourselves. So, you need an outlet, when things get tough.
For sure. And my thing is, I've always wondered, from your perspective, especially, you know, I'll always wonder, like, when it comes to opening up, especially about mental health, or like, say, opening up in general, why, why do you believe it's very difficult for male athletes or even men to open up about, say, about mental health?
Uh, I know, like me personally, like I've dealt with experiences where I have opened up, um, and sometimes you regret it in a way. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like as men, sometimes we just try not to let too much information out or let too many people in on what's going on, just because we don't know like of how it could be perceived or how people will react to it. So I feel like that could be one of the main reasons why. Um, but the older I get, the more I learn like you can't really just like try to hold everything in, because like the more you do that, the more it's just gonna build up and be on your shoulders. So certain stuff I do try to keep to myself, but it's just something you gotta just, what I'm saying, like I said, turn to God, talk about it. If you don't feel like talking to nobody else, or if you have those friends or that family circle or them loved ones that you can go to and speak about stuff like that with.
For sure. And speaking of which, you're very big on your faith, and how do you balance your faith and sports photography simultaneously?
Uh, I try to balance it, to the best I can. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm perfect, with keeping up with, being in my Bible and you know just doing all the things I feel like I should be doing. But I try to do it to the best of my ability, and I actually take pictures at my church, Elevation Church in Winston-Salem. I'm actually on the photography team there, creative team there, and I'm one of the photographers. So that kind of keep me balanced a little bit, because every Sunday I know I'm there to take pictures, but at the same time, like I look at it as me like serving the Lord in a way. Like I'm using a gift and a skill that I have and my talents to help, capture memories, at this church, and give the church, just something to be able to look back on. Like, oh, I remember this Sunday when we did this. And like just being able to have memories and pictures of it, I feel like is a good thing. But they also, they're real big on the people that volunteer, of making sure that they also, sit in one service and get the word as well. So I'll take pictures at one service, and then the second service, if I have time to, I'll stick around and watch the service as well, so I can, make sure I'm still getting, my daily intake on it.
For sure. And if there was a scripture to describe, say, the season that you're in right now, what would it be?
Mm, that's a good one. In my Facebook bio, I have, I think it is Proverbs 3 and 5. That's one of the scriptures I like to go by a lot. So yeah, I can't say one that I'm in right now at this very moment. Um, Only because this season I'm in right now is kind of up and down. It's kind of all over the place right now, with school starting back. Work is being crazy. So I can't really think of nothing right now, but I just try to always live by Proverbs 3 and 5, because I feel like that's a good one to just always hang your hat on.
Oh, trust in the Lord and do not lean on your own understanding.
Understanding, yep. I feel like you
It's
need that. I feel like you need that on a daily basis, because like a lot of times you try to figure it out on your own, when like at the end of the day, God has all the answers, and you know, you just be patient and stick it out. You know, He gonna always, you know, show you where you need to be, what you need to be doing, and how you need to go about it.
Do you know how true that is? I swear for God, for goodness, like when I was a like because I know like and you know this too, especially as athletes. So you know there's some people that were like, if they're athlete, especially how like some people like, oh, if they're athlete and they have certain, like certain, say, if they're like a Christian athlete, like you could just tell which you could tell like which scriptures they have on their bio. If they have like Philippians 4:13, I'm like, God dang, like y'all
Yeah,
call they'll have like, oh, you could tell they have Philippians 4:13, Proverbs 3:5-6, Jeremiah 20. I'm like, well, maybe because it hits us a little different. It's like
yeah,
you call
you're
it
an
like
athlete.
it's like you call it like I mean, shoot. But I think it's so interesting how like when we, as a person, like, when we put everything in God's timing, we have to trust it because man, it's a different type of waiting when it comes to trusting in God's timing. It gives like a different like a lot of people want it right then and there now, right? But it is a different type of feeling or a different type of waiting when you are really being patient. It's a different type of patience and waiting when it comes to waiting on your turn, especially
Yeah,
in your journey.
yeah.
And
And I
because
think playing sports kind of helped me with that as far as like the photography stuff. Because in basketball, well, not even just basketball, in sports in general, like you gotta wait your turn. You know what I'm saying? And it's not gonna always be handed to you, even though you could be the one in practice putting all the work in, you first to the gym, last one to leave. You know, you might be killing in practices and all that, but you know, you got to still wait your turn because you could be doing all that and still, coach might still overlook you. So I feel like in the photography game, that kind of helped me a little bit too because, I might see other photographers or other people that I know personally, it's not even hating or anything like that, but I might see them, saying getting something that you sit back and you be like I'm trying to get there too, like, or like, dang, like, why haven't those opportunities opened up for me yet? But then you just gotta, just sit back and think like, when it's meant to happen, it's gonna happen for you.
for sure, I think one of the biggest things is like saying, being patient when it's your timing, especially like while you're waiting on your turn. And when that blessing does come, you know, it gives you a different type of like, wow, like I waited on my term and it's finally here. Like,
Yeah,
you know, and what's meant for you will always arrive in God's perfect timing, but also what's meant for you is for you.
yeah,
So,
definitely.
and this leads to my question is if there was a word or a phrase to describe your journey so far, like so far in your journey, if there was a word or a phrase to describe your journey so far, what would it be?
Mm-hmm. First one that popped to my head when you asked that question was perseverance, and I just because of the conversation we're having right now, and I probably choose that just because like I feel like you know in the past, really like the past 4 years, there's been a lot of stuff that didn't really go how I planned it to go, a lot of stuff that didn't happen the way I wanted it to happen, um, or just something I wish I could have did differently, but. Um, Through it all, I just feel like I just, kept my head high and, like I said, leaned on that village, that circle that I have, um, leaned on God and, just try my best to persevere through whatever, was thrown my way. And I just feel like, where I am today, I'm just proud of myself and, I just try to look back on those moments where I felt like, things it wasn't going my way and looking on to like where I'm at today. And you just gotta just thank God because I could have, had something go not go my way and just gave up. Whether it's the camera stuff, regardless what it is, could have gave up. But I just keep going and I try to preach that same message like to kids that I train, kids that I was coaching last year, kids that I mentor in the photography game as well. Like sometimes things not gonna always happen how you expect it to happen. So sometimes you just got to be able to move accordingly as time go on.
That's real. Right. Let me get my little shakers, my little mini tambourines. I don't have my big tambourines, but But what you said is so true. Cause
Yeah, for
come
sure.
with it, come with it, come on. Cause ooh, cause if you think about it too, perseverance is best described in James 1, 2 through 4. If you know, So,
Mhm.
cause you know, and also perseverance leads to resilience. So it's like you know, but and outside of your sport, what do you want to be remembered for your legacy?
Uh, Probably just somebody who, you know, a person that people was always able to like reach out to and, know that it's always genuine with me. Like if there was ever a question, they needed to be answered or just something they needed help with, just know that I was always that person that was there to help, give back or, be that person that you can always like, or you was always able to lean on, when you needed, advice or help or, if you just needed help in any situation at all. Uh, so yeah, probably just that. I mean, a lot of people already tell me that I'm that person. Um, that they can like count on when it comes to stuff like that. Like, but I just want to make sure that I'm that person now, but I still want to be that person. As I get older, I don't want to change or stop. What I'm saying, stop giving back. The older I get, I still want to be that person that's in the community, still doing things for people and still helping people out. Because I feel like a lot of people, they I don't know the word I'm looking for, but a lot of people they have information on things or they have an outlet for you to be able to reach out to, but they just try to hold that type of stuff in because they don't want the next person getting better than them. You know what I'm saying?
That gatekeeping, they
Yeah,
gatekeep.
gatekeep. There you go. A lot of people like to gatekeep stuff. That's the word I was looking for. But I don't ever want to be that person where I don't want everyone to look at me like a gatekeeper. I always want to be somebody that people can hit up. Like if you need questions about a camera or what I'm saying, something about basketball. Like I just answered like 3 DMs yesterday. People asking about like certain camera questions. So I just want to always be remembered for that type of person, and just let people know I'm always there for them.
Hey, let them know what it is. First of all, y'all, it's okay if you got information that could help somebody. Now a lot of things you might need to keep, but then again, don't gatekeep. Especially if you know you have some type of platform that could help somebody, y'all. Don't gatekeep. If you know, you know. So I'm just saying. But I always ask my guests this question because Bonafide means authentic, unique, but for the men, the authenticity. So, what makes Mr. Matthew Liles authentic and what makes your story stands out?
I probably have to go back to like the perseverance. Just one of the biggest things that happened to me. Well, biggest thing that happened to me that kind of put me down for a little bit. That had me just thinking like, do I want to keep going? My freshman year of college, I tore my patella tendon trying to dunk, and after that, I'm not gonna lie, I ain't know if I was gonna keep trying with the basketball stuff. Like I thought it was kind of just over with a little bit. But like back to the perseverance, like I didn't have people around me that was gonna let me quit, and me myself, I didn't want to quit. So I just kept going with it, and I kept fighting through it, and I ended up getting cleared to play and things like that, and it kept going. But I think what makes me Bonafide unique, different from others is like my perseverance and just my hunger to want to just keep getting better at everything I'm doing, and just my ability to try to make everything I'm doing different from what other people are doing. I guess you could say.
That's real. That's real. Mr. Matthew, can you let the folks know how where they can find you, support you, and if there's any upcoming events happening your way?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Matthew Liles _. That's about the main thing I'm on right now. I know a lot of people don't be on Facebook, but if you're on Facebook, my username is Matthew Liles.
Y'all be sure to follow the man, the myth, the legend himself. Matthew on Instagram at Matthew Liles _ So his name, Matthew Liles, and then the _ character. So you can follow him. I'm telling y'all, if y'all need some photography work, especially you in the sports world, y'all.
For sure.
I'm telling y'all.
Appreciate that.
His work is amazing, y'all. Like, I'm telling y'all, when I tell you, you gotta get the best of the best, right here. He does amazing work, and also check out his YouTube, y'all. His YouTube page for real. Like,
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. I'm actually gonna try to start posting more on my YouTube. So yeah, y'all definitely go subscribe to that. And Matthew Liles again.
Y'all be sure to follow him on YouTube at Matthew Liles. Follow him on Instagram at Matthew Liles _ And you can be sure to check out the live replay of Bonafide podcast, episode 262, featuring the one and only Matthew Liles. And big shout out to Matthew for coming on the podcast. And big shout out to everybody that has tuned in. Thank you guys for tuning in.